Back Issues. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ben.
This is the show where I explain a comic to you guys that don't really know much about them because they didn't read them when they were growing up, but I sure did. And for that reason, I thought we'd talk about the death of Spider-Man. A lot of people have been asking for us to do the death of Spider-Man.
I didn't know Spider-Man died.
Yeah, he's died a couple times now.
Yeah.
But this is, for my money, the first time he died.
Okay.
So we're not doing the one everyone asks for. They want to know about the death of Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe, who pretty much died, but they still brought him back.
I was going to say...
And then everything died.
Right.
Like a few months later. So it was really lame that they brought him back. This is a funny issue. It's Spider-Man number 17 from 1991 by Ann Nocenti and Rick Leonardi. This is right off the heels of Infinity Gauntlet, which we've done before on back issues.
Okay.
Right at the end of Infinity Gauntlet, just to contextualize, Thanos gets his hands on the Infinity Gauntlet, or rather, he gets his hands on all the Infinity Stones,
Right.
and then embeds them into his own gauntlet, thereby creating the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, which he owned, which is cool.
People talk about the Infinity Gauntlet like it's an object that exists
That he tried to
outside of
get.
time. Yeah, no, he had a gauntlet, he put the stones in it, and the more stones he had to manipulate reality, the gauntlet became a vessel for stones. Like, it was just a fucking glove.
Right. Which is also perfect because you have, like, the 5 different knuckles, and he's like, but I have 6 stones. I'll just put the 6 in the back of my hand.
Yeah, wham, right there.
Oh.
But at the end of the story, obviously, Thanos does not take over the universe for any length of time. So then Adam Warlock gets possession of the Infinity Gauntlet, and it's hilarious because when he wears it, it's like...
It's massive.
It's big.
Yeah.
And then he takes it and
It doesn't, like, shrink down to the size of his hand?
No, not like the One Ring. Yeah,
Although,
no.
he should be able to make it do that since he
Yes.
has all the stones.
Yeah, the
yeah.
image I always have of that is the moment when he obtains it, and in that case, it's really big.
Right. He shrunk it right after that. How big are the Infinity Stones? Like, are they like the size of my hand?
No, they're a little... I'd say they're probably about this big.
Okay.
Like maybe
the
a little
size,
less.
like, bigger than an egg.
Because Thanos is larger than the average man.
Right.
So his hand would stand... They look like little gems that fit on each knuckle. So if a knuckle is proportionate to us, you know, like his knuckles are probably double the size of our knuckles. So I'd say that the gems at least are the size of... the double size of a knuckle.
Well, how is he holding Spider-Man in his hand like that?
That's an image. It's just... he's... Well, actually...
That didn't literally happen.
Yeah, except it does.
Well, using the stones, he probably makes
I guess
himself bigger.
he made himself bigger.
He does. Well, alright, so at the end of Infinity Gauntlet...
Spider-Man was in Infinity Gauntlet.
He
right?
was, for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he didn't do
swings
much.
in, and then he is murdered by a sex character that Thanos creates for himself when he's sick of Death's bullshit, and he decides to try and make her jealous. He creates Taraxia, a female version of himself, ostensibly
Which
to
is
ban.
incredibly narcissistic.
Yes, and Taraxia kills Spider-Man.
Oh.
But
But then
Thanos they all come back
Right.
once Warlock...
Gets the gauntlet.
Actually, it's before that. Nebula obtains the gauntlet and then decrees that everything should be as it was 24 hours prior.
Right.
So then everything is reverted back to where it was. Then Warlock gets the gems and I guess fixes it and then fucks it up more when he starts the Infinity War. But that's another story. Infinity Gauntlet ends around the same time this issue came out.
Oh.
And it's interesting because in it, Thanos is there and he has the Infinity Gauntlet.
Even though he shouldn't.
Even though he is already dead, and in that case, he's not really dead. He had like a pocket nuclear device that he would set off if he ever lost the gauntlet, and then he fakes his own death through its explosion, and then becomes a poor farmer on an off-world planet.
I dimly recall that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big scarecrow of him out in the field.
Yeah, that's where he puts his like costume. You could assume this is more or less like a tie-in to Infinity Gauntlet, where it takes place in between, but who cares?
We all know your feelings on tie-ins, too.
I do hate them. But this also made no attempt to link it with them. It doesn't say, like, Infinity Gauntlet tie-in!
But he's wearing the Infinity Gauntlet on the cover.
Yeah, so you don't really need one. But at the same time, it's also at the end of Infinity Gauntlet, so when does this take place?
Yeah.
The answer is don't think about it. Because...
The answer is shut up.
Yeah, because two things are happening in Spider-Man at this point. Todd McFarlane actually launched the adjectiveless Spider-Man title because he was getting sick of being so great and popular, right? Drawing Amazing Spider-Man. To keep him from leaving, Marvel's like, here, you can have your own Spider-Man title. And then he did Spider-Man Torment, which...
I had no idea McFarlane worked it with Marvel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he drew Hulk and Spider-Man and a couple other things. But the thing that made him a superstar artist was his work on Spider-Man. Like, he was drawing Spider-Man unlike anybody else had at the time. So that warranted giving him his own fucking title that he got to write and draw.
He didn't start doing the crazy webbing.
He's the one who created these.
He's the one?
He invented spaghetti webbing. But anyway, so they gave him this title, and then in issue 16, Spider-Man has a crossover with X-Force. McFarlane drew the shit out of that, and in a way, he was also he was leaving Marvel also to go start Image.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's leaving Spider-Man, and he's like, I have to leave. So he made some outlandish request where he wanted to draw the comic, but like this. So when the cover was this way, and you read the comic like that.
Oh my god.
So everything was awesome and landscape, except for when it was a double-page landscape splash.
That sucks.
It sucked. It's called a landscape comic, and no one likes them, and they're garbage. But, so that was what McFarlane was doing, and then the second part of that story was being continued in X-Force to boost X-Force sales. And then Eric Larson was going to take over for Spider-Man to do the Revenge of the Sinister Six, which is a crazy book that we'll do on Baggages one day, because it's everything that's great and horrible about a crossover. And not like an intercompany crossover, just like a crossover where like Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four team up and who knows what's going to happen, you know, that kind of thing. It is horrible and exploitative and amazingly great.
I'm not gonna lie, you just said Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four, and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not even that, I'm sure. But
No,
like,
but trust me, it's sweet. They don't even show up until the end.
so it's not even a crossover. Really.
No, it's a crossover with everyone. He crossed over with Hulk. He crossed over with Deathlock. He crossed over with Nova. He crossed over with Solo. He crossed over with the Fantastic Four.
There's Solo.
Nobody. You know, like Punisher is a wacko man who puts on guns and shoots people?
Yes.
Imagine if he had, like, a trunk of guns that he kept on his backpack.
Oh.
And had the ability to teleport.
More guns. And
and he could teleport. And he was drawn to wear, like, more fatigues.
Okay.
And he had a lame catchphrase.
Nice.
I'm going Solo.
No. It doesn't make any sense. Yours makes sense because Solo's used in the phrase.
Right.
Solo's catchphrase is, while Solo lives, terror dies. Which is like,
sucks.
what the fuck does that even mean, Solo? Anyway, he sucks and does matter.
Sounds like he needs to come back and fight some terrorists.
They're bringing him back. He's getting his own solo
Thanks,
series.
Ethan.
Yeah, good job.
I should just work at Marvel.
You
I
said
know.
it, and you created it.
Yeah, no,
It
it's
exists
happening
because
in
of
Marvel
you.
now. I was like, what? No. Also, Ghost Rider's in it.
Ooh.
And Eric Larson, who's the creator of the Savage Dragon, drew it, so it looks fucking phenomenal. Through the lens of 90s comics.
Right.
So
Now, some 90s comics look great.
they do, and it looks fantastic if you like that kind of art.
Is this an advertisement for Hook on the back of this book?
Yes, it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, back when subtlety existed, this was the teaser for Hook. It was just coming for Christmas, Image, and you're like, is that a fucking Hook?
What is that?
What is that? Like what? Hook?
It's bizarre. It almost looks like a horror movie thing.
Yeah,
Well, but it's all sparkly.
yeah. Well, and you know it's from Amblin, so you're and
Amblin.
TriStar. You're like
But there's nothing that says
Peter Pan, Captain Hook.
nothing.
That's true. You got some
Filigree work?
ornamental stuff
Yeah.
on there.
it's pretty.
yeah.
Kind of. But at the same time, I can also be like, I'm gonna kill you guys.
Yeah, it could be a movie version of the old Hook Hand man who had the hook on the door
On the car.
handle.
Oh.
Yeah. Coming this Christmas, because, he's coming after you and your date.
Yeah. By the way, I do not remember Hook coming out on Christmas, but way to predate the Avatar method
Yeah.
or the Titanic method. So they needed a filler issue to come between the X-Force book where Todd McFarlane's leaving
Yeah.
and the Eric Larson book that's going to be a big 6-part series. So they called Ann Nesenti and they were like, you want to do a Spider-Man book? And she's like, all right. Now, Ann Nesenti is interesting because she had been around for a little while and she had the distinction of creating a whole bunch of characters, and one of the first books she ever wrote was killing Spider-Woman, the Jessica Drew character.
Oh.
They were like, she's not selling, kill her.
Whoa.
And Nesenti's like, okay, and then wrote this issue in which she died, and then found out just how many Spider-Woman fans there were from all the letters that she received.
And then she became a serial killer in comic book world, where she just starts killing characters.
Yes. She also invented Typhoid Mary and a couple other characters that were, like, still around. And I'm like, that's cool. I remember picking this issue up because I was like, what? The death of Spider-Man? And also it has a tagline, "You will believe a man can die," which is a play on the Superman tagline from the first movie where it's "You will believe a man can fly."
Oh.
And it's
so, like, I believe a man can die.
Well,
I
yeah.
do believe that.
That happens all the time.
Yeah, that happens all the time. There's
This
no
doesn't really make
posturing.
any sense.
Well, no, it's just a way to... I think it's deliberately playing on the epicness of the story because you were like, Spider-Man died?
Like, you can't have Spider-Man die.
Well, also, it's just
But
kind of
you
like...
won't believe that he can.
Well, I think that they're playing with the hype. I think they're like... They're taking the big, "You will believe a man can fly," like, oh my god, you can't believe this shit. You've never seen superheroes like you've seen Superman on screen. And then playing with the hype of that in this who gives a shit issue.
Well, clearly
So
you
that people
do,
will
because...
buy it.
Well, not you, but, like, the audience should.
Yes, but at the same time, maybe they were not as swayed. Like, I thought, holy crap, they killed Spider-Man. And I heard
Right.
nothing about this. It's because he comes back at the end.
Right.
Immediately, of course.
Like, in the same book.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the same issue?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a done in one. It's
Yeah,
a,
'cause they
it's a
gotta
palate
wrap
cleanser.
it
They
up.
got to wrap it
Yeah.
up so they can get you on the other one.
Man.
All right.
Also drawn by Rick Leonardi, who drew Spider-Man 2099 only a little while later. So I loved the art for this book, and I was
does
like,
look pretty good.
And I was like, wow. I wonder whatever happened to that guy. And then I look back and I'm like, oh, he fucking did Spider-Man 2099. And I loved the art for that too, so that worked out. The story is interesting because it's Spider-Man, and he's coming to Aunt May's house and he has barbecue sauce because she asked him to pick some up on the way over.
Okay.
And you can
I'm
see,
guessing
like...
she doesn't get that barbecue sauce.
No, she doesn't get the barbecue sauce. Way to ruin the ending, Ethan. That's literally the end of the issue. Is
I don't
what
even know
happens
why
to
we're
barbecue
doing
sauce.
this now.
Right? Fuck it. Spider-Man is trying to deliver this barbecue sauce.
He's got it in his butt crack.
No, he has it in his
No,
pants.
It's off to the side.
Yeah.
Barely.
Is your butt crack to like the
To
left
your
of
left?
your middle?
Yeah, is your butt crack askew?
Look, I don't want to disparage
Yeah, let's not talk about
anyone's
it.
body or anything. I'm just saying.
Anyway, it's just indicating he's a schlub. You know, he's a poor working man superhero. He doesn't have a utility belt. He doesn't have pouches like all the cool superheroes do now.
Yeah.
He's got to carry barbecue sauce. He's got to strap it to his clothes. And it is skin.
Couldn't he just web it to himself?
He could, but he's not thinking of it that way. Also, you need to see the barbecue sauce break.
It also looks like he's an alcoholic almost.
It's barbecue sauce.
No, I know. You know that, but like it's the bottle in the back pocket kind of thing.
That's true.
Yeah. And people
So-
might not, from the street, might not know that it's
They wouldn't
barbecue
see
sauce.
him. He's so high up.
We were just tearing this apart. I'm
So
sorry.
Spider-Man
One
is
page
swinging
in.
through,
2 panels in.
and throughout his internal monologue, he's thinking about all the things he needs to do, and he's worrying about shit. Like, he's got to go pick up Mary Jane, he's got to drop off Aunt May's barbecue sauce, he's like, I got to pay my rent, and hopefully I didn't bounce the last one, I got to fill up on web fluid, and then all of a sudden his spider sense goes off, and he's got to save somebody. There's a scaffold for window washers that's broken, and it's going to fall. So
This
Spider-Man...
happens a lot in New York City.
Yes.
Apparently.
Oh, yeah, no. The contract on window washing needs to be revisited.
Yeah, it happens so often that a superhero randomly swinging around can reliably expect that it will happen.
Yes, and prove what hero he is. So, what's happening in this image is there's 2 window washers, they're falling, and there's a lady and her daughter, and they're hanging up their dry cleaning. Or their
happening
laundry.
elsewhere at the same time.
On a roof.
Okay.
Like an adjacent roof.
Yes, on an adjacent roof, they're hanging up their wash. So he catches the humans falling, but not the scaffold.
Okay.
And the scaffold is gonna fall on a huge tank of Freon. And he's like, shit, I missed it. So he sees the woman and her daughter, so he just jumps in the way of the Freon blasting out of its container.
Okay.
Okay.
So
He blocks all of it somehow?
no.
Oh.
He blocks as much as he can, and he is doused in Freon, and he has a heart attack and dies.
Oh. Does he save them?
He saves... Well, what happens is, that's the whole crux of the issue, is does he save them?
Okay.
So he dies.
Wow.
And then the barbecue sauce, which was like in the air from like his sudden movement to stop them, falls and lands near his head. So it looks like he like splat his fucking noggin on the pavement.
Okay.
Or on the roof.
Wow. Is that what happens if you get hit with Freon? You have a heart attack?
I don't know. Now, he has
doubt it.
spider strength, so it could be that he didn't die from having skin on Freon contact, but the stress of having been doused in Freon might have made his heart stop.
I mean, is Freon basically liquid nitrogen?
It's it's poison, but it's I don't know if it's like it won't like freeze you.
It's not cold.
No, but it is highly combustible.
Ah.
So it's just like a gas. It's almost like propane, I guess.
Well, it's a liquid though.
I think it would turn into a gas.
Propane's a liquid.
That's true.
If container. I think.
So yeah, rapid expansion, which would actually decrease the temperature.
Right. My sister once found a few canisters of Freon from a friend of hers.
Oh.
They were like, "Oh, we don't use these anymore. You can have them," because she's like, "Oh, one of my friends up north has an air conditioner that still uses Freon."
Okay.
So she took the Freon with her and then brought it to the airport. And then the airport security said, "Is there anything you'd like to declare?" And she goes, "Oh, actually, I do have several canisters of Freon in my suitcase." And they were like, "Get down on the ground!" Literally, they just went like, "Oh," opened it and said, "You can't take these." And she went, "Okay," and then that was it.
And she just left him there?
Yeah. She's like, "Guess I couldn't do that." They probably called a hazmat team to deal with it. Because it was just in like metal canisters.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. It's always been a mystery to me, like, how he dies, because it's kind of unclear. They say his heart stops, but they also, like, show the Freon kind of exploding, and I guess it does kind of look more like a cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It affects him so much, his suit is shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's corrosive in some way?
Probably.
Or something.
I've never encountered Freon in any physical capacity, so I really don't know. It's kind of unclear.
I mean, that could be shrapnel from the thing that exploded that had the Freon in it.
Yeah. But,
so he dies.
So he dies, and his spirit is there, and once he dies, his mind is, like, done with being Spider-Man, with being alive, and is literally, like, looking back on his life from a higher consciousness perspective.
Okay.
Slightly.
All right.
He's like, look at this poor man who all he did was worry every day of his life. And he's like, wait a minute. Like, did he... Like, even now, I'm still worried about saving somebody, but I can see the lady's fine, so never mind. And so then he just ascends into, like, heaven? It's interesting because Nisinti is not... She's writing the first time Spider-Man dies, but she's also not really a huge Spider-Man fan. So, Dan Slott will kill Spider-Man at some point, and when he dies, he goes into, like, this weird place that's, like, his version of heaven.
Okay.
And it's, like... Queens, but it's all it's people with everyone else who's dead.
It's people with just Uncle Ben's.
No, Uncle Ben's there, but Captain Stacy and Gwen and everybody else is there.
Okay.
But they're all like kind of echoing his insecurities, so it's kind of unclear as to whether he actually goes to heaven or whether he is like
in hell,
or he's near death and his mind is just rationalizing his losing life by creating this vision.
Oh, okay.
But in any case, we see him kind of validating his existence through the dead. In that version. In this one, we see him say, like, I should be worried about Mary Jane, but all I can think about is Gwen Stacy.
Whoa! What?
And being with her.
Screw you,
And you're like,
crap.
what? But it's one line and then it's thrown away. Also, he's depicted as being dead. His Spider-Man suit in life is torn and his mouth is, like, exposed.
Yeah.
When he's dead, his mask is off, but his suit is back.
Weird.
So he's still Spider-Man, but he's also Peter Parker?
Yeah, you see basically Peter Parker throughout the rest of the story.
All right.
In a Spider-Man suit. So he goes towards the light and he winds up in this weird place that is what Peter Parker describes as like a religious junkyard. It's just a plane of existence that is a dumping ground for religious artifacts of belief. Like there's Excalibur's sword, but there's also like Ankhs and crosses and Stars of David and skulls and voodoo dolls and all these other like artifacts that represent religion and that humanity has believed in.
Okay.
And
everything possibly associated with death.
Yes, and more importantly, the rituals surrounding it.
Okay.
And he's like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then Thanos appears, and he's like,
so
this is not heaven, but you deserve to be here because this is where you get to take a last look at life.
Okay. It's not like that scene in South Park where Kenny's almost going towards heaven, and he's like, little boy, you're going to hell!
Just falls. No.
Okay.
That is heaven, though, that he almost reaches.
Well, yeah, Kenny.
Yeah. But anyway, so Thanos and Death are there. and Thanos has the Infinity Gauntlet, and you're like, when does this take place?
Yeah. What?
But who cares? It doesn't matter. But Thanos is there, and he says, all heroes, when they die, they don't go to heaven right away. They get to come here, and they have to look back on life and see how futile their efforts were.
What?
And
That's
it's
a
like,
dick move.
and it's like, is that true? Is that Death's decision, or is that more like what Thanos is manipulating things to be
Like,
to
or
make
is that-
heroes feel bad?
Or is that his understanding of it? Like, everyone gets to look back on their life. It's just Thanos was like, well, yeah, but like, you didn't do much.
Yeah, it could be Thanos' interpretation.
And
of
you
what
will
this is.
see how futile it is.
Yes.
According to me.
Exactly.
Chilling with death right now. Normally I'm not here.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. That continues to baffle people about when this takes place, because Spider-Man says, Thanos? And he says, yes, it is I, Thanos. And he says, I thought you died.
Oh, so it's acknowledging
The
that it
end of
happened
Infinity
after-
Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Thanos does not have the Infinity Gauntlet, so is this a dream that Peter Parker's having?
Well, it's clearly not literally Thanos. But
Right.
what if it's like a spirit of Thanos? No, because
he's not
still
dead.
alive.
Actually, not dead.
Yeah.
Huh.
Huh.
So, what?
I mean, he is all about death. Maybe some aspect
Part
of him.
imprinted
No,
onto
no,
death,
no. Just some aspect of him. Just like all the other religious things. Like, he is so associated with death and is so obsessed with it.
So it's like an echo of
Yeah.
Thanos
Yeah.
that exists in the nexus of the
well,
afterlife.
he did kill
God damn
half
it.
of the galaxy's population.
But then they all came back to life after the
Yeah,
end.
but like by doing that, like he like
Became
made his
a
mark on death itself.
Maybe. I
And,
mean, like,
death's like, all right, you're part of the landscape now. When
Right.
people die, they see
they
you
see
now
you and you're addicted to
because
them.
of your great death dealing deeds.
And thanks for that. I gotta deal with you all the time. Hate
Yeah.
you.
I guess.
Yeah, she hates him. She hates him so much that at one point she is so sick of returning him to life that she just makes him immortal because she's sick of dealing with him. She's like, you're immortal. Goodbye.
Why does she?
I don't have to see
Why
you
doesn't she
ever
just leave
again.
him dead? I guess
Because
then
then
she would
she'd
have
be
to
with
deal
him
with
all
it.
the time.
Oh.
She doesn't like them.
But I don't understand. Is she with everyone who ever died all the time?
No, but
Well, like,
Thanos is also like
As long as he's dead, he
powerful.
can find her.
Yeah. He
Like,
can
hey,
find her even when he's alive,
hey.
though, because she's a cosmic entity.
Yeah. So.
And he tries
he's
to
a
explain it
Titan.
also, by the way. He's like,
Oh.
I love death, I wield death, but I cannot die. And it's like, what? Whatever. Doesn't
Fucking
matter.
what?
So Spider-Man has to go and look back. And
okay. On how futile.
yeah, and on how futile his life is. Because he's just like, the fact is, the reason why heroes have to look back is because you work in opposition to death.
Oh.
And they still wind up dying anyway, so this is the futility of your actions.
Do doctors have to do this?
Right?
And police officers
Yeah.
and EMTs?
Yeah,
and
they're
don't
all
know.
heroes. So yes.
Yeah, I suppose so. Good call. So, anyway, Spider-Man
and
looks
every
back.
mother as well.
Yeah. So Spider-Man looks back and he sees his own dead body and he's just like, poor guy. Like, he always worried too much and he's, like, complaining all the time. And I wish I could just... now that I have the context of death, I wish I could go back and explain to him how easy it was. And then he hears the tortured cries of the mother because the daughter was also hit by Freon.
Oh.
And she died.
Oh no.
And Spider-Man immediately drops the fucking Psych 101 theology student and goes, holy shit, the girl's dead. You have to bring her back. And Thanos is like, you can't. You can't do that. That's not how that works. She's already half gone. She's half there and half here. And then he shows, like, the spirit of the little girl who's also looking over the precipice.
Ah.
And she is thinking to herself that her mother needs her. Like, that's all that she's thinking about. That's all she can context.
I noticed the mother is also saying, I hate you, Spider-Man.
She blames Spider-Man for saving her and not the dog.
Oh, like, why did you save me?
Yeah, and it was more like he just was trying to save everybody.
Yeah.
When he actually tries to save them, he reaches for both of them.
Right. Well, the little girl's smaller, so...
And
Yeah.
further away.
And further away.
Yeah. But then when he dies, he forgets that she's there, and it's probably just because he's got other things to worry about, like
the fact that he's
Like being dead, yeah.
So...
Oh, I'm out of my body. This is new.
So he fails at saving her, and then he's just like, you have to let her go. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. I don't have to do shit.
I don't have to do anything.
Number one, I'm motherfucking Thanos. Number two, I inexplicably have the Infinity Gauntlet. Number three, I'm Death's boyfriend. Number four, Death's here, and she says no.
Number 5, you're dead.
Yeah, and number five, you have no control. You're in my world now, bitch. You have no control over anything.
Okay, Freddy.
Yeah, you're in my nightmare now. So,
yeah.
And it's amazing because he says, like, I know what you're thinking about doing, and you would be a fool. And Spider-Man says, so what? And attacks
Punches
Thanos.
him.
And he just attacks Thanos in this futile battle where he's just like, Spider-Man's giving him everything he's got. And Thanos is just talking to him like, you have no power here. You have no control over what happens. I'm sorry, man. I'm not sorry. But all the same, go fuck yourself. There's nothing you can do about it. And
even when we were alive, you had no chance against me.
Yeah. So they fight, and he's basically just saying, like, what you're doing right here is representative of your
this is what I'm talking about.
This is what I'm talking about, Mike. This is why I make every human look back, or every superhero look back, because, like, you're trying to fight a battle you have no hope of winning. You don't even understand how fucked you are. You don't understand how ineffectual you are.
Yeah.
And at one point, he, like, grows into this large version of Thanos.
Okay.
And he's like, let me show you how insignificant you really are. And Spider-Man, like, retorts something like, well, it's funny how you had to physically make yourself bigger to make me feel small. And then...
What did you say about me?
And then Thanos notices that Death isn't saying anything or doing anything.
Right.
And he looks at Death, and he's just like, what do you mean?
Will help?
Well, yeah, you should back me up here.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince this guy how insignificant and bullshit he is.
Yeah,
and you're sitting there.
And Death approaches Spider-Man and, like, daintily rests her feminine hand on Thanos' beloved hand, while the two of them basically, like, look at each other through Spider-Man, like, who's resting behind them or between them.
So Death got huge too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's gonna get up on his level.
Yeah. Death is bigger than Thanos ever could be. Like, she's like, no. I think that's like a posturing thing. She's like, oh, you're big? All right.
Now I'm big too.
Yeah. But it's this great moment where just the two of them are looking at each other and looking at Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's like, I think Death is a reasonable woman. She seems to have an idea of what I'm talking about. Like,
and he winks at her. He's like, hey.
Yeah, right?
Come on.
But it's amazing because while he's talking to him, Thanos' like, shut the fuck up.
You talking about girl?
Yeah. He's like, what are you doing? He doesn't think that he's trying to make time. He's just like, don't presume to know what Death wants. I'm the one who presumes to know what Death wants. But then he says, like, but it's amazing because Death says nothing in this whole book, and it's better. I love the portrayal of Death in Gauntlet and in this.
Does Death ever say anything?
Yeah, like later she'll talk to Wolverine and be like, Wolverine, you're so hot. You've been evading me forever, but now you're dead.
Oh, that
and
sucks.
she also, like, bangs Deadpool.
What?
Like, they have a sexual relationship for a time.
But those are in Deadpool books, right?
Yeah, but it really happened, though.
Yeah, because that's...
but he also talks to the reader and shit in
Yeah.
those books.
Yeah. Thanos makes one tortured plea to get Death on his side, where he's like, you know how it is. Death is stronger than anything. There can be no life without death, and life sucks. It ends, but death is forever. And I'll give him to you. This insignificant soul that, like, tries really hard despite all odds. Like, I'll give him your soul. Like, here he is for you. It's a gift. And she's like, no. Like, she doesn't say anything, but she's like, she's not having it. And Spider-Man,
I do like that shit though.
yeah, her face
terrifying.
blends into, like, what she truly looks like.
Ooh.
And Spider-Man's amazing because he's just like, Miss Death, I just want you to know, like, the reason why I'm fighting isn't because I'm trying to selfishly cling back to my own life. I'm trying to fight for the little girl. And then he, like, feels himself coming back to life.
Oh.
And that's kind of visually portrayed as his mask starts to, like, morph back onto his face.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, cool. So, like, okay, so you're letting me go, too? Like, we're all gonna go home? That's cool, I appreciate that, but, like, no strings or anything. I don't want to owe you anything. And
I don't want to owe you anything.
Yeah, I don't want to owe Death a favor. And he says that as he wakes up. And the mother is like, you both came back together. Like, my little girl got her heartbeat just as you did. And Spider-Man's like...
I still hate you, though.
I still hate
Yeah.
you for failing.
Yeah.
But it worked out all right, so
Right.
I'll let you walk
No,
away.
she completely drops the whole, like, hating thing. She's just like... She basically says that, God gave you back to us. And she says something like, Spider-Man says, I had a really crazy day. Like, I went up places and did stuff. And she's like, it happens. That's all part of his plan. And he's like, hey, listen, I met a couple people up there and none of them worked out. He doesn't say that, but he is like, he's like, what about all the blood here? And she goes, oh, it's barbecue sauce.
He's like, no!
Because he doesn't know that, like, he had a heart attack. Actually,
Right.
he does. He says, like, heart failure? That's kind of weird. Like, I always thought that, like, I would die being beaten to death by Dr. Octopus.
Right.
Or eaten by Venom, but, like, my heart gave out? That's kind of fucking sad.
That sucks.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So then he takes the girl, because she's kind of unconscious, to the hospital.
Okay.
And he says, like, you'll meet me at the hospital, and swings away. And then...
Mom's like, what hospital?
which
This is
one?
New York!
Yeah, there's probably a dozen in this area. So then he says, he calls it the city hospital, which really narrows it down. And as he's leaving, he's thinking to himself, oh no, I dropped the barbecue sauce. I'm doomed. I'm dead. Like, oh no. As if to say he never really learns a lesson about it. Like, he doesn't learn the perspective that he gains.
He's right back to
He's right back to where he was.
Yeah. And he gets home, of course, and Aunt May, like, oh, Peter, jeez, you forgot the barbecue
You're so
sauce.
irresponsible.
I can't give you any responsibility whatsoever.
And Mary Jane's like, somehow I know you said you loved Gwen more than me. I don't know why or
Yeah, it was
how.
just like,
I can feel it.
She's just pissed. I don't know why, but I'm really
just mad
annoyed
at
at
you.
you. Yeah, that's
He's
fair.
just like,
You're in for it, Tiger.
Yeah.
that's my life. Everything sucks for me all the time.
Yeah. Except it doesn't, because like he has a family member who loves him dearly,
that's
and he has
true.
a hot supermodel wife who
Yeah.
understands and supports his superhero lifestyle, and like
And
apparently
he's a superhero.
you're a superhero. You got power beyond imagining, and also like when you die, you can like complain, and they'll give you another
They'll
shot.
send you back. I wonder if you're supposed to like interpret this as like it could have been a dream. Who knows?
Yes.
Like maybe he just recovered.
Yeah, it could be that he just experienced
And it was just like
hallucinations
yeah.
at his heart failure
Which would be why it makes no goddamn sense.
in the context of the
In the
Marvel
context
Universe.
of- yeah.
Yeah, like Thanos. I thought you died. I'm not. But Thanos does.
It's like that.
Thanos is pretty much in character, as is Death.
Right.
So when I first read it, I was reading it as a literal story.
Right,
As a child, being like, yeah, he dies, he meets Thanos, and Death gives him another shot because Spider-Man is so noble and selfless that he fought against insurmountable odds to try and save a little girl's life. Cool.
And like Death doesn't really have to like mess with a lot to bring him back. It's not like
Not
he was
really.
decapitated.
Right.
Like we don't have to change
She's
what
like, your
happened.
heart stopped.
Nobody even knows there. I
Yeah,
fixed it.
a few seconds ago.
Yeah, no one has to believe in miracles or anything.
Exactly.
Like, it's just
And the lady that's alive, that's witnessing all this, believes in all that stuff anyway.
And isn't gonna start questioning shit.
Yeah.
She gets her daughter back.
she's
She's
just
fine.
gonna be happy.
She's just gonna buy a few more rosaries. Like that's all right.
It's not gonna unravel the whole like.
Yeah, he didn't die on national television or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
Although it's interesting that he says like no more strings.
Well,
Or no
he's-
strings.
No, he's asking
Because he assumes that there's
that, like Death's like, okay, you can go back, and one day I'm gonna come visit, and you're gonna have to give me your wife or your aunt. Yes, that's what I'll do.
or your
I'll take
marriage.
I'll take your aunt's life,
What if-
Or
you can
or
give me
your
aunt.
baby.
Yeah,
Or all of them.
yeah.
Or maybe I'll just take away the whole web of life thing because like
That's not invented yet.
I know.
God. Nope. He's
No
just
strings.
a guy. No strings, literally. Yeah, this is back when like Spider-Man was a guy who had spider powers. He's part of a
He was bitten by a radioactive spider.
He wasn't like
Yeah,
part
spider.
of a stupid mystical tome that involves thousands of other incidentally spider-related characters only because Spider-Man is so popular.
Where somehow the spider in the web of life
Yeah, there's a spider god.
like do stuff with Death. Like, oh, don't worry, I'm back here too.
Yeah.
In the corner.
But Death doesn't have anything to do with it. It's amazing, actually. Whenever I see Death portrayed in comics, she's never anywhere near that stupid fucking web.
Good.
She did not have a thing one to do in Spider-Verse.
Thank God.
You know? She was just stupid.
This is funny. This is the first back issue.
Yes. This is just an old comic book.
Oh.
Like, not a story arc, but I thought it
Not
was
even
interesting
multiple.
enough that it explores some themes and elements that we, always kind of touch upon in these episodes, where it's like, does he die? Is this the afterlife? I always liked the image of like the religious junkyard, as Spider-Man calls it, this plane of existence that like all superheroes have to go to, that is like a reliquary of like religion. And I'm like, what does that mean?
And
What is that
crazy
all
things
about?
like there's a hangman's noose over there.
Yeah,
Well, it's about death.
yeah.
It's just,
But I also see like
just death
it looks like a
stuff.
courthouse.
Yeah.
Like it's all these
Yeah.
different things that influence and refer to death and usually cause the death of people. You know, like
A
Insurance
giant
of
tree
death
with
or-
skulls hanging from it.
yeah.
which is really creepy. I like the fact that he doesn't learn his lesson because he's never going to stop being Spider-Man.
Yeah, he can't really change who he is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And really, he got there by, like, he was only in his, like, elevated, ethereal nature for, like, a second. As soon as he saw that the girl was...
Yeah, so as soon as he realized the gravity of his situation, or that it involved anyone else,
Yeah.
he got his head out of his
He was
ass.
just right
It's
back
almost
to
like
where
he
was.
realized he's dead and he's like, oh, well, I should affect this persona now. Oh, I'm dead? Well, I'll talk to myself in the third person. Oh, look at this.
that's what you do,
fool."
right?
He really is pretentious when he
Yeah.
is ascending. You know, he's just like, we all, like, he tried very hard, but in the end it was not enough, and it never will be for Peter Parker. Like, poor Peter Parker. And
All of these things. Oh, shit,
it's
he's
weird.
still dead!
But
Oh, no!
And it could be like, maybe he's going through stages, like when he immediately dies, he's like, poor bastard. Then he gets to, like, the clouds, and he starts thinking about his mom, and he's excited, but then it goes away, and he's like, oh. And then he starts thinking about Gwen Stacy, so he's like, he's becoming more, like, kind of egocentric. I bet this issue is kind of lost to the back issues, because it's not part of any anthology collection or anything.
And yet, it's still the death of Spider-Man.
Yeah! It should be really, really interesting, or at least really big, and it's not. But I like that. It's a small, quiet death. Spider-Man dies saving some people.
Yeah, which could
It's
happen
a small,
to anybody.
quiet death. No one cares.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit.
Nobody even knows. Or
Nobody even knows about it.
Yeah.
Even Spider-Man.
Yeah,
He
he
wakes
just comes
up
back.
and
He's
he's
not
just
even aware.
of what happened.
Yeah. Interesting. Now, so, is it that he doesn't even remember, or does he just chalk it up to being a dream?
Yeah, he says, what a wacky feeling I had. I feel like I left my body and traveled. So it could be that he
okay.
is chalking it up to just kind of an out-of-body experience.
Right.
or-
I had one of those, like you read about.
Yeah,
when
let me
people
tell
are
you
near
something.
death.
There's never a moment where he, like, bumps into Doctor Strange and says, like, hey, one time I died,
And I went to
this
this place."
like, weird place with, like, swords and crap.
Oh,
and
yes,
he was
the
like,
religious
"Oh!"
cemetery!
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That happens to everybody.
Oh,
No,
I've been there at least a
heroes.
dozen times. Yeah, no. Nor does anyone else who dies remember that experience. So,
We've seen plenty of superheroes die.
yeah.
I like that you can interpret this in different ways.
Yeah, that's why I like it. That's why I was like, we gotta do this on the show. Because, like,
Yeah.
what is this? What do you guys think? Is it heaven or is it a vision?
I kind of like that it's like both. It could be that when you are close to death, you have an encounter.
Yes.
And what you see might be different depending on who you are. If you're a superhero, you might see Thanos, especially if you just fought him.
Right.
And death. But if you're a normal person, you might see something else.
Yeah, you might see, like, the house you grew up in, or like
Yeah.
your neighborhood, or something like that.
or someone who, and it
Matter
might not
to
be
you.
what you would expect or want to see
Right,
necessarily.
yeah.
And you might have this opportunity to parlay.
To look back. Or maybe come back.
Yeah, engage in some sort of negotiation or,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well, I love how it's so Marvel, because it could have been just a weird, he goes to this weird reliquary, and Death shows up. Because Death could be anything, even though we've established literally that month that Death is a person who exists,
Right.
so you can bother. But if Death appeared, and that's it, and Spider-Man has all the dialogue, he just says all the things that, he, like, answers for Death, more or less, it could be wholly interpretable. But then Thanos shows up with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
It's like, hey! No, but I'm really here, though!
Because I'm friends with Death, you see. So I can show up when Death's doing the thing with the dead people.
I'm literally Death's, like, booty call. And I just pop
Death
in.
invited me over.
You never know when I'll just pop in.
Yeah.
And make really inappropriate demands of her.
Yeah, we were just chilling.
And
at
then you
Death's house
showed
on the
up.
couch, and then you happened to die.
And I was like, oh, I know
And now
that.
we gotta deal with
I
it.
know that motherfucker. I'm gonna
Hey,
go.
Peter Parker, what's up?
Oh!
What are you doing
Check
here,
this out.
man?
I'm gonna totally show him up.
Oh, watch this.
This
I'm huge now.
This'll get you going, right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Look at this. Let me razzle the superhero. Hey, it was all for nothing.
I like the idea that this is just in Peter Parker's head. That he doesn't actually
He's
die.
not even dying.
It's just all... Yeah, he did... He actually... The fact that Spider-Man participated in the Infinity Gauntlet event is kind of above his pay grade. And so I like the idea that, like, he almost has, like, PTSD from the experience. And so he sees Thanos because he's like, can't rationalize having died. And so he sees something that he can't comprehend, Except that he's also dealt with Thanos before in earlier stories.
And he has the Infinity Gauntlet when he shouldn't.
Right? Yeah. He's just like, oh, he's got the
It's
Infinity
just
Gauntlet.
shit that's going on in his head.
Yeah.
I also like the idea that you have the Hangman's Noose there, like the...
As one of the artifacts?
Yeah. I can't remember what those are called.
Oh,
it's not a guillotine, because that's
no,
the thing that chops the head off.
Gallows.
I like that Gallows are there because when Stacy died...
Broke her neck.
Broke her neck.
Yeah.
And that's what Gallows do.
That's true.
Like, you should see, like, you know...
Yeah,
all these other things that kill people there.
Except, like, well, the people that matter to him, like, Uncle Ben was shot, so it's hard to, like, put a gun there. Captain Stacy was crushed by rocks. So, like, you just have rocks.
But in this book, you don't mention Uncle Ben. You don't mention Captain Stacy.
No.
You mention Gwen.
Yes. Yeah. So you have Gwen, you have the Gallows, you're pretty much covered.
So I think this is all internalized.
Yeah, it could be. Death of Spider-Man from Ann Nesenti and Rick Leonardi. It's a random issue from the long-standing pantheon of Spider-Man books.
You'll get hooked on Spider-Man.
Yes, and when you get this issue, you will also get a full-page ad for the movie Hook for the price of this issue.
Which is a great movie, by the way.
Yes, despite what the detractors have said for, I guess, 25 years, Hook is not bad. We'll do more Deaths of Spider-Man as we go, but thanks a lot.
How many are there?
At least 3 more.
Oh my god.
Anyway, we'll see you guys next week with another episode of Back Issues. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ben.
Thanks a lot for watching. I can't put this in the description. It's
sorry.
just an issue. Go to your comic book store and find it. It's issue 17.
Go to a convention. You can probably find it there.
Literally, I have this issue. It's in my long boxes, and it's in the attic. And I was at a comic book store the other day, and I saw this, and I went, yeah, I'll just buy it.
It's better than rooting through my stuff.
Easier than looking for it.
Yeah, I'll just have 2 copies.
All
so,
right.
there you have it. I wonder if either
you
one
can
of these
give it
people-
away now.
Was it $1?
It was 2. But
That's more than the cover price.
more than, yeah, I lost 25 cents.